All right, so in today's video, we are doing a deep dive into the one, the only Gala Games, giving you my best take on a price prediction, latest news, future potential, and ultimately, is it something I'm going to be investing in? I can't tell you what to buy, not a financial advisor, not financial advice, but is it something that I'm going to buy? So, let's go ahead, let's kick this thing off. What is Gala Games trying to do? In essence, they're trying to take that burgeoning blockchain gaming space and actually create games that you want to play. There's a lot of games out there that have been built, a lot of metaverses that have been built that just aren't that fun and therefore don't collect any players. So, core principles: fun is first. Good games that are simple, mechanics that people can understand and enjoy. An ecosystem that's owned by the players. And we'll dive into this a little bit deeper in the video, but completely throwing out the rule book when it comes to how gaming income streams work and how income is divided amongst participants in the ecosystem. Where the community rules it. It's not a top-down from the game developer. It's a holistic ecosystem from players and devs. And again, it's powered by people. Now, quick story time. I may or may not have been addicted to League of Legends to an extensive degree 2 or 3 years ago. Played it nonstop. Became a Plat 1 support. You know, if you play League of Legends, you know that's something, okay? Something to respect. And out of all my time playing this thing, I earned so many rare and lucrative skins, perks, and benefits, but I never owned any of it. It was just shown on my player profile. But if I wanted to sell it or trade it with somebody, I couldn't. It was locked behind Riot Games and kind of their whole ecosystem. And Gala Games is tackling that whole thing, trying to turn it up on its head. Now, quick little shout out. My name's Ryan, No Autopilot YouTube channel. My claim to fame is doing deep dives into tokens. I'm not always right. Oftentimes I'm wrong, but I try and do the research up front to hopefully guide you along your path of making your own decisions. If you want, I do have a Patreon. You can get exclusive access to my portfolio, my moves, help vote and decide what videos I make and projects that I cover. You can even get one-on-one time with me if you want to go ahead and talk about your portfolio or anything crypto related. So definitely check that out. Now, the first stop along this massive tour of going through Gala Games is with the founding team. If you don't know, they have a critical kick butt team behind them right now. So Eric, I'm going to butcher your last name. I'm so sorry. Eric Schermir. Anyhow, he is one of the original co-founders of Zynga, which is a massive powerhouse in the gaming industry. They were bought out a few years back for a hefty sum of money. And he has a killer track record of creating technology products that catch users, right? Scoop up adoption and go ahead and turn profitable. So that's really exciting to see. Now we talk about Zynga. One thing that you may know them from is from Farmville. If you spend any time on Facebook in the last decade, that name probably rings a bell, and Zynga is the company behind it. So definitely heavyweight there. Now on the game development side, they also have Michael McCarthy. Michael is the studio director and co-founder, and if we go through and we scroll through his job history, he also worked at Zynga, and I imagine that they had a relationship there, formed on trust and hard work. But he spent some time at Sandbox Games, which is another massive metaverse blockchain project, and he decided to leave that and go ahead and come over to Gala Games 2 years ago. Interesting. Then we also have Wright Wesley. Now, Wright is kind of their blockchain Jedi. He's the one who's working on kind of the node system that kind of keeps this whole thing churning and running and allows the players to play to earn and earn money in supporting the ecosystem, which we'll dive in deeper through the video here. But now I did watch this entire AMA. This was recorded back on March 13th. Here we have Michael. Jason is their head of marketing, Wright, the blockchain guy, and Eric, the former Zynga guy. And it was a really interesting interview. I highly recommend if you have time to go through and sit down and watch this thing, even if you have to watch it at 2 speed. I think you'll get a lot out of it. The biggest takeaway for me is that they all collectively shared the frustration with current gaming. Okay, they mentioned that in order to go ahead and get a player to use their game non-blockchain, it typically costs the game studio about $20 per user, anywhere from $6 to $20 per user. And so they get stuck in this cycle of taking games and really turning them into cash cows, trying to squeeze the player base as much as they can to recoup that high cost to acquire players. And so it kind of, instead of making an awesome game that has great art and cool mechanics and pushes boundaries, instead from the ground up, it's built, how can we turn this into a cash cow? And for artistic folks, right, a lot of people who enter into game making and creating, they want to chase that dream of making something awesome. And it's kind of soul crushing. And so as we'll go ahead, we'll see later in this video, there is some interesting things, interesting partners, big names in the gaming space, moving over from traditional gaming into blockchain gaming because of that exact same issue. Now, I also like to I like to take a look at what roles they are hiring for. And the reason I do this is oftentimes it's an indicator on potential growth or where they're going to be taking the company. They're hiring a ton of folks around their Miranda's project, which is a game that's slated to be released later this year, 2022. A bunch of engineering roles, some social media and marketing roles, as well as some additional roles down here at the bottom. So I guess the big takeaway here is they have money, they're hiring people, and they're hiring people in the right places. Game development, art, design, and marketing. Now they go ahead and they tout a couple hot facts on the bottom of their webpage. I thought this was worthwhile to mention to everybody. So $3 million was the most expensive NFT sold. They have over 90 team members. If we go ahead and we look at this list here, it looks like they're trying to add another 20 or 30 on top of that head count. 1.3 million active users and 25,000 NFTs that have been sold. With their top project going to be Townstar. That's the one that's actually launched right now, I believe in beta. And it's kind of the pioneer project for them. What's interesting about this, it's kind of similar to, was it Farmville? Yeah, Farmville. And it's kind of you kind of have a farm, you take care of your land, you harvest crops, you take care of animals. And as we saw with Zynga, they have some pretty good experience with that. So hopefully they can copy and paste that into blockchain. Now, what else do we have? Now, we talked about the shift in value. Okay, the big community-based change when it comes to gaming. So here on the left, what the past looks like. Okay, so you have game developers and publishers. They create an item that players go ahead and spend money for, cash for. But then that item is kept within that game ecosystem forever. Okay, the players don't own it. The game developers and the publishers own it. And if they deem that you cheated or something along those lines, you can be blacklisted, blocked out, and all that stuff is gone. Or if somebody steals your account, it's a pain in the neck to try and get it back, all that stuff. But the future of it being kind of this holistic cycle here, right? They have game developers and publishers that create an item that players pay for. They go ahead and use it in the game to earn rewards, typically in the form of a novel token from the project. There's a community DAO that kind of votes on referendums on new items or new partnerships or directions to take the project. Players want to go ahead and sell those things that they bought, they can, and it's kind of like a in-game economy. In essence, that both players and game developers own collaboratively, which is a massive shift away from what we've seen over here. Now, we touched on this already, but one thing that they had mentioned is that there's an absolute dearth when you look at a lot of blockchain games right now and actual players. I don't know if you guys have ever been into Decentraland, which is, I guess, more of a metaverse, but still, it's the absolute barren wasteland. The only people there are people in the casinos. And like the ability to put the game first, really lacking. And so they're aiming to target that. Simple games that are clean design, fun to play, make money on it, just kind of take that first mover advantage and pushing forward into that space. Now I went ahead, I pulled up their social media stuff. Typically on this channel, when we review kind of meme coins or community coins, this gives you an indicator on if they're paying for people to pump it and whatnot. I don't have any concerns about that when we look at Gala Games. Reddit has a decent amount of people in it, 6.4 thousand. Their Twitter account has around 300,000. They have a Medium page, which is constantly being updated. And they also have a YouTube channel that actually has more subscribers than I do. So how about that at 19,000? And they actually have a handful of videos, AMAs, playthroughs, a whole bunch of cool stuff happening on that channel. So if you're going to buy Gala Games, I advise you go ahead, head over there and subscribe to that channel to stay in the loop as well. Now, we talk about market cap. So currently, the token is trading around 19 cents, which if we look at the all-time high, was around 71 cents. And this kind of is indicative of the entire market, right? We had a little bit of a run up, and now we're kind of building our way back up. So I think from a pricing standpoint, you can't just base it solely on how cheap it is, but 19 cents per token isn't too bad. Now we look at some of the competitors in the space, some of the target market caps that they're chasing. Of course, that Axie Infinity is going to come up. We already spoke on Decentraland, which is more of a metaverse, but kind of targeting that same demographic. And of course, the Sandbox as well, which again is in that same metaverse graphic. Now, we like to play the game of what if. What if the market cap of Gala went ahead and met the market cap of Axie Infinity? How much would a token be worth? And this little tool does all that stuff for us. And right now, if that were to happen at Axie Infinity's current market cap, it'd be about a 2x, 2.5x. What else we got? So as we go to look at Gala Games, these are all the different games that are either in beta or in development in some stage. So Townstar, we already touched on. Legends Reborn. They have a Walking Dead franchise partnered with AMC. Miranda's is supposed to be a massive, massive game launched later this year, as well as a handful of others. If you're not excited yet, get some coffee. I'm excited about this thing. Really liking your channel. Luis, whoa, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I put a lot of work into these videos, so like anytime you guys give me a comment or compliment like that, it just so rewarding. Like it really, really is. So thank you. Okay, what else we got? Gala Games and C2 Ventures. So originally this token was a fair launch. They didn't have any private sales. They didn't have any behind the scenes investors kind of come in, but they did go ahead and they announced their first venture capital partnership, I believe in December. We're going to call it December. Yeah, December 13th right here. For $100 million. And that was from C2 Ventures, which is actually headed up by Sierra, if I have her in here. Sierra Sun. Now, Sierra Sun is the former head of blockchain investments for Huobi, which, if you didn't know, is a massive cryptocurrency exchange based in Asia. Now, I'm reading the tea leaves here. I could be wrong, but what makes me excited about that is venture firms typically don't just give you a check and walk away. They give you a check, they take your hand, and they go and introduce you to other key people in the market, right? In the ecosystem, help you network, help you solve problems, help you form partnerships that you otherwise wouldn't have. And especially coming from the Asian market, where a ton of gaming innovation is happening, I think this partnership could be a very, very positive turn of events for Gala Games. Wild speculation. Sierra Sun. What else do we have? They went ahead and they announced some partnerships. So the first one, this is built on the Ethereum blockchain. Of course, they had to go ahead and get a solution in place for those terrible, terrible gas fees associated with Ethereum. And so they went ahead and they went the route of Polygon. So giving you kind of a layer 2 solution to get around those high gas fees. And they also went ahead and they created a partnership with the Binance Smart Chain, which through a bridge, again, allows you to go ahead and trade assets through Binance, kind of working your way around those ETH gas fees. Now, when we pull up the token, there's a current supply of 10,000 million billion, 35 billion tokens, with only about 7 billion currently in circulation right now. Now, one of the big ways that folks are getting excited about this thing is the utility behind the Gala token. One, it's used as an in-game currency. So if you want to buy, sell, trade, use services, that type of thing, use the Gala token. In addition to that, they're paying node incentives to node providers. This is a core concept of Gala Games. in essence, you can go ahead and you can buy a Gala node license, which this shows you how many Gala you'd have to spend to do it, totaling around what, $92,000 for a node. And what that does in return is goes ahead and every single day, since you're helping support the ecosystem, helping the games run, you earn Gala tokens. And I went ahead, I pulled up, not that. Yeah, we already covered that. I went ahead and pulled up this video from Chris McCauley. Shout out to you, Chris McCauley. Awesome video. And he went through and he talked about how he made a major investment of his life. He bought some of these founder nodes and is covering about $4,000 a month without any of the games actually even being launched. So there's that. There's that. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting, so we talked about that circulating supply, 10,000 million billion, 35 billion. We went ahead and pulled up Binance Research, which does write-ups on tokens that they go ahead and list and have partnerships with. It lists the maximum supply as 50 billion. There's a little bit of a discrepancy there. I don't know which one is which, but that is a large amount of tokens that would potentially hit circulation if that was in fact the case. If anybody knows one way or another, let me know in the comments down below. I'll pin the comment so everybody else can see it. Now, in addition to that, when we go ahead and we look at some comparisons of could it be the next Axie Infinity, if you've been following Axie Infinity for a while, this thing's shot up to like, what, $157 at one point. It is worth noting that they only have 270 million tokens compared to the billions of tokens that Gala Games has. So there is definitely going to be a much longer road up to this type of a price point for Gala Games. Now, we went ahead and we pulled up Etherscan. Again, on this channel, sometimes the community wants me to look at meme coins, community coins, and in those type of tokens, I'm really concerned about the distribution of those tokens because it's very easy for a scammy founder to rug somebody if they have 85% of the assets. Right here off the bat, I'm not seeing anything particularly too scary about the distribution of tokens for Gala Games. Now, this is something interesting, and I haven't seen anybody else mention this, and it may be because End of the Block is a paid service and other YouTubers don't have that service just yet. But if we go ahead and we look at some of the trends, so this is going back to October 2020, and this top, I'm colorblind, so I'm going to call that green. That green line, all right, that green line is the total addresses with a balance of the Gala token. And the other dark line is the price. And if we see here, as they went ahead and they launched their beta, they started to get some momentum. These addresses are kicking up fierce. So on-chain activity is a really good way to see the viability of a project. Are people actually using this thing that they spent all this time making? And it seems, at least for Gala Games, that is the case. Now, I went ahead and I also pulled this up on End of the Block. They look at the distribution of investors. One thing that's interesting to see is the vast majority of them are low activity addresses. We have a few that are high activity addresses. And what that means in essence is the vast majority of people are holding this token. They're holding this token and not kind of day trading right in and out of it. Now, if we go ahead, we look at kind of the main dashboard. We touched on this already, but with that network growth, it is kind of flashing a little bit of a bullish signal. Not financial advice. I'm just some dude on the internet. But I did see a similar symbol to Axie Infinity when I covered it in July of last year. And shortly thereafter, along with Bitcoin pumping, it went and it had a nice little run up. What else do we have? Again, jump back to Chris McCauley. He had an interesting comment that I couldn't find any information on. He went ahead and said that the Gala token also has yearly halvings that happen in July. For each of those nodes that we talked about, they'll go ahead and actually only earn half of the amount of rewards that they had received the year prior. And that's really important because as a node operator like himself, let's say he bought his node for 20 grand, all right, before they got wildly expensive. And now he's getting all these Gala tokens. What do you think he's going to do if he's up, a couple $100 grand or a couple $1 million? Likely going to sell. And so there's a lot of pressure, a lot of sales pressure on these node operators who are going to have a large amount of tokens to go ahead and offload them. So as these yearly halvings continue, it'll create a reduction on that downward pressure on the price. Now we take a look at governance, because I always like to see how these projects are managed from a government standpoint. And it looks like the founder nodes, so that's the ones that we pulled up, that'll earn a piece of the pie for any game that launches within Gala Games. They have a unique voting mechanism that allows those folks to help steer things. They also have a very active Discord that also goes ahead and takes some other proposals to the standard node operator. Now, as for markets, we can go ahead and buy this thing pretty much any exchange you want. We look at some of the news. They went ahead and they post a ton of stuff to their Medium page, a whole bunch of developments happening around other games that they're about to launch. Legends Reborn is a collectible card game. They have some information here about The Walking Dead. And again, a lot of this is you're purchasing NFTs. So in this example, you're getting access to the pre-sale purchasing of a venue where people will go ahead and battle, and that will have some economic benefit back to you as the owner of that NFT, where you're catching a little bit of Legends Reborn tokens as payment. So super wild time to be in blockchain gaming. Super wild time. What else we got? So we touched on this already, the Gala Games and C2 Ventures partnership, but there's a couple things in here that we didn't touch on that got me excited. So how about this one? So over the weekend, Gala Games hosted 22 Cans founder Peter Molyneux, a creator of games like Black and White and Fable, and he unveiled his latest blockchain game, Legacy, which will debut in 2022. So I don't know how old you guys are, but I played Fable. I played all the Fables. That game was awesome. And this gentleman here has quite a reputation in the gaming space for creating awesome AAA type games for Microsoft and others. And the fact that he, in networking with Mike McCarthy, has decided to go ahead and launch a blockchain project on Gala, I think is super promising, because it isn't just about him. It's about the ethos of these game developers that are feeling crushed by the constant grind of turning these games into money printing machines and taking it further and further away from the art and the community that they kind of joined that whole job to do. So super interesting. In addition to that, they went ahead and they mentioned that Gala Games also signed a deal with Will Wright. Now, Will Wright may sound familiar because he's the creator of The Sims. Just a little game called The Sims. I don't know if you heard of it. What's up, old bear? I'm a sucker for the zombie games. Yeah, man. Especially when they're executed well. And if you're a Left 4 Dead fan, like, hit me up in chat. Come on now. So again, I think this just reiterates what I've already said. Their ability to lure proper gaming development talent, gaming OGs into blockchain to kind of create these experiences. It's really impressive. And we have a quote here from Will Wright that I want to share. I've been offered a blank canvas to help give the Vox collectibles their own home and create a world that excites current players and hopefully attracts new ones to this metaverse. It's also exhilarating to be building games for the next generation of players. So it's just kind of a peek behind the curtain into the thought process of these folks. Now, we already touched on this, but Gala Games also went ahead and announced a partnership with AMC and Ember Entertainment to make a Walking Dead game, of course. And I think if I was reading the tea leaves on that, I just think it's really interesting that they're engaging with some of these intellectual property holders like AMC and creating some baby steps into crypto gaming for some of these major franchises. So when we look at the future roadmap, I think the biggest thing is honestly going to be launching some of these games, getting some of these things off the ground. Townstar is in beta. All these other ones are in development in some stage or other. So getting those things up and going is going to be huge. Old Bear, I played the crap out of Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Crypto Marcoco, how is it that Axie is at that current price? How does a gaming token take off? Supply and demand, brother. Supply and demand. So I would say after reviewing this, I sat back in my chair and I was like, wow, should I go ahead and buy this water tank for $363? Like, it made me start FOMOing about, should I buy a water tank? And I'm not even planning on playing the game. Okay. So I think that's just indicative of the potential that these things have, both to lure crypto enthusiasts who are looking to not invest, it's not an investment, but maybe turn a profit on some of these things. And then other folks who are actually looking to play the game. And then in addition to that, I also sat back and I was like, man, let me do some math on let me do some math on creating a node. You know, could I be a node operator for these folks? It turned out I didn't have 90 grand just sitting around to buy a node for an NFT game. But interestingly enough, I thought about it. I earnestly thought about it. And then we already touched on Mirandus. Mirandus is going to be a major game that they're launching later this year. I think that's one to keep an eye on. I read a report on NFTs, and the vast majority of people who make money on NFTs are the ones who get access to it on pre-sale and then offload it on everybody else. So if you want to go ahead, you want to play that game, not financial advice. I think the smart thing would be to follow this thing and try and get on their early list to get access to them, and they can go ahead and shove it off on other people once they go ahead and appreciate and value. So I think wrapping this thing up, I think Gala Games is still early. It has a bunch of games set to launch. I think it's a whopper of an opportunity. I'm pumped about it. Again, I was honestly thinking about buying a water tank, and I haven't even played the damn game. I did sit back for a second and try and do some math on picking up a node for 90 grand. Decided not to do it, but I did think about it. I think the cons, so those founder nodes that we talked about, they do have an ongoing selling pressure on the Gala price. And until that kind of sorts itself out, or the games take off and there's a lot of users, I think the token price could trade a little choppy. I think also the cost of those founder nodes is pretty substantial, right? Like 90 grand's a lot. To be fair, if we were early, you could have bought a founder node for like $2,000, but we're late to the party. And then this is the last one, and this is kind of above my pay grade, above my competency here, but I'm curious about the security of it. So if Gala Games creates a tool that it gives node operators to operate and support their blockchain, what's the security of that centralized node software? And what does that look like? But I wasn't able to find any information on that I felt confident enough in sharing with you guys, but it's a question for me. Old Bear, I put in a limit order on Gala last night, just a small amount, but it hasn't hit yet. Yeah. So I think last thoughts, that security piece, there's this awesome article on comparing Immutable X and Gala Games. We covered Immutable X a couple days ago in another video, another awesome project. And all these folks are like, all these teams are competing to solve the Ethereum NFT gaming issue around scaling and fees and speed. And the first one to do it is going to be able to unlock massive volume. And hopefully we can be on one or all of those. So did I buy Gala Games? I did. I bought Gala Games. I added Gala Games into my blockchain gaming portfolio, which has, again, if you're new to the channel, I'm creating a gaming portfolio specific for blockchain, aiming about 20 to 25 different projects with a plan of 50% of them are probably going to make me less money than I put in, with hopefully another 25% that kind of trade sideways and another 25% that just rocket up and do awesome. So I take these reviews that we do, and after I finish them up and I feel good about something, I go ahead and I turn around and I buy it and I add it to my portfolio. So again, a little shameless plug. If you want to get access to that cool stuff, hit me up on Patreon. But yeah, there you have it. Gala Games. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it so much that I want to have a member of their team hop on this channel and do an interview. I'm going to try and set that up. But time for a drink. What do you guys think? Gala Games.